Hey everybody, my name is Eric Proctor. I go by the name TsaoShin on DeviantArt. It's probably how you recognize me more through that name. But I've been on DeviantArt for 13 years, and I'm really happy to be here painting this thing for you guys, which is a great Pride drawing. I got the color purple in the Pride flag, and I'm really happy about that because purple, pink, and gray are my favorite colors, and I know pink's not in the Pride flag, but purple's at a really close second, so I got really happy about that. And what I'm basically painting here today is these two lions, because I really love that lions have, one, the word play on the word pride, which is a great pun. But more importantly to me, lions kind of represent that, I don't know, there's just something very majestic about lions that I really, really love. And what I wanted to do in this piece was kind of weave their manes together so that it would kind of represent that they're like tied together, because purple in the pride flag represents spirit. And I felt like it was really important to convey the idea of spirit in my piece. So what I've done is I basically have them both like on top, one facing one way, one facing the other way, just so that they can show that they're kind of guarding each other in this like really woven together relationship. Because I feel like in a relationship, there's give and take, of course. And when you give to someone, you're also getting from them in return. So there's a lot of trust that happens when you basically allow yourself to be guarded and in turn guard the other person that you love. And so I wanted to show that kind of spirit and that kind of interwoven part of your relationship in this piece. So with a limited color palette, which is great because it's a great challenge for me, I wanted to go ahead and start painting these two lines together with that aspect of love as the background or the underlying theme in this piece. But yeah, anyway, I have been on DeviantArt for quite a while, and I'm really happy that I get to paint this really amazing piece for Pride, because this is one of the more personal pieces for me, and I do a lot of fan art, but I feel like when I'm asked to do something personal, it kind of like I have to sit down and reflect for a really long time. Like, what do I really want to convey as far as myself in that piece? Because any piece that I feel like is more personal to me, I want to inject a part of myself as an artist into that piece. Not that I don't do that with all of my work, but this is one of those fantastic times where I really got to sit down and think, okay, what about my relationship and as a gay guy do I want to convey through this piece? Because I do have a lot of sense of pride. I wanted to make sure that my love is felt in this piece, and that that I do convey that idea of spirit inside of my my painting. But basically, I'm from Maryland. I live in Maryland, but I've been all over. My dad was in the military, so we moved all over the country. But I kind of landed in Washington State for a long time. Then I moved out to Maryland for this job that I have now, and I've been here ever since. It's a little more muggy here than I want, but I think it's okay. There's a really, really fantastic amount of people here that I've met that are all really fantastic artists as well, and it's really great that I know them all. We're all very close to each other, and I couldn't imagine leaving at this point. So I think, when did I first hear about DeviantArt? I've been there for 13 years, but that's not when it started. I remember hearing about DeviantArt through other like art community websites. I think I was using Oikaki a lot, which is this like Paint BBS, which is like a message board system that has like a paint tool in it, and that's what everybody used at the time. And I felt like I don't need to do anything else. But I remember someone saying, oh, you should join DeviantArt, because what happens when you use Oikaki is like your drawing just kind of gets pushed off by time, by other people's drawings. It gets kind of disappears into the ether. And DeviantArt is a way for you to archive it, because you get your own gallery, which is amazing. So what happened was I kind of took the paintings that I was doing on Oikaki and just kind of like dumped them all into DeviantArt all at one time. And I got a lot of like favorites and a lot of traffic, and I was like, wow, oh my god, okay. So I started using DeviantArt, and then I remember I was making this transition to Photoshop around the same time, and I just wasn't feeling comfortable with the drawings I was making in Photoshop. So I wasn't uploading to my gallery as often, but I was still painting quite a bit. And it took me a while to come back, but then when I came back to DeviantArt, it came back strong. And I was painting a lot in Photoshop, and I was really getting like the feel for the way the program worked, and I felt a lot more comfortable, and I started uploading more drawings. And then, of course, all of that feedback came back again, because the community on DeviantArt is super strong. I feel like it's a really great way to touch base with people who, of course, who like your artwork, but then you get to turn around and give that same support back to the people who like your artwork. So you go immediately and like go look at the people who just commented on your drawing and go and take a look at what they're doing, and then hit the main page and see what else, you know, the community's kind of focusing on at the time. And it's such a really great way to, like, I don't know, just feel jazzed up about your own stuff, and then go out and like jazz up other people too. And I really like that about DeviantArt. And so that's what it really attracted me to the community, was that really great experience of being able to see positive stuff coming towards your way, and then go turn around and then give that same positive feeling back to other members of the community. And it stuck, and it like held a hold. And I'm still using DeviantArt for pretty much my main gallery. And I try to do what I can to support the community as well, and kind of feature people, because I'm a community volunteer on DeviantArt, and I really want to give back to the community. That's really given a lot to me. So I try to do a lot of like art features, and then reaching out to people, or holding contests, or just answering questions about my process, or whatever else I can help with, because I think that's a big part of the growth of my own artwork, was the community. And so I feel like I owe the community a lot back as an artist, who I feel like at this point I feel comfortable reaching out to the people who follow me and kind of giving back. So who are my favorite artists on DeviantArt? I'd say that I have too many to name. I feel like I watch a lot of people, first of all, and then the other problem is I have a tendency to just fave bomb as I'm going through the galleries, and I'm just like bang, 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 bang. And I should probably like start reaching out to more artists. But I think, as far as that I can think of off the top of my head, I think the people who really inspire me are like Sandra. Sandra has this like painted style that I feel like that's what I want. So a lot of times when I look at Sandra's work, I'm like, yes, that is the painted look of digital painting that I want in my own artwork. So she really inspires me at a technical, like, and especially for her imaginative pieces, because I love fantasy, and she does a lot of fantasy paintings. And a lot of her designs are so beautiful. And when I go through her gallery, I'm just so inspired. I'm also really love Tamborella's work. Tamborella is such a fantastic painter, and I feel like they weave like this beautiful level of detail in the fur and in the textures of the drawings, and I can just get lost looking at a single piece for like 15 minutes straight and still feel like I haven't seen it all. Like, it is just an amazing amount of detail in Tamborella's work. I also like Lorianne, and I'm pretty sure I might have said your name wrong. It's either Laureen or Lorianne, but Lorianne like uses this beautiful watercolor and traditional pieces, and I had like the opportunity to commission her at one point, and I got one of these pieces, and I have to tell you, like, they look amazing in the gallery with the photos of her painting, but like having the actual painting in front of me and seeing all the detail, I was so blown away. And I have it hanging up in my studio, and I get to see it, and it inspires me every day. I also really love Rice Spirit. Rice Spirit's one of these people that just like, you go and look at his stuff and you instantly know it's his, and he has this fantastic like personality to match his artwork, and he's just this amazing person in the community that you can just really get to know real fast, because he's super fun and he's really funny, and I love his stuff. He's really inspirational. Also really love Charlie Bowater. Her work is very like, I don't know, it's just so amazingly picturesque and like very detailed, and it just has this like beautiful quality about it where you just look at it and you're like, that's Charlie Bowater's work. And I don't know, it's always very ornate and detailed, and it just has this beautiful look about it. And also like Loish. Loish is one of those artists who I feel like everybody knows who that is, and everybody's been influenced at some level by her amazing artwork, and I see it all the time, and I'm so inspired. And I've watched Loish for such a long time, because I remember Loish used to paint in Oikaki, which is where I got my start as well, and she was so amazing because she could do so much with such a limited program, and it was so inspirational. And then just follow her artwork from there to now, and it's just this incredible journey that I feel like I've been kind of like following along with her. But I feel like all of those people are people that I can really look up to. And of course, there's so many more artists that I follow that there's just so many I can't name. And I think that's probably the most incredible part of DeviantArt as a long experience, because I've been there for 13 years, like I've said. And it's just been this great journey that I get to see like artists come up and get popular, and we all follow them and we're all inspired by them, but then other artists coming up and then we're all inspired, and it's just this really close-knit community, I feel, where you get to see creators be a creator, see the art appreciators, appreciate artwork also. And that to me has helped me as an artist grow more than anything. I think that what it feels like to me is when I was first getting out of school, so I went to school for traditional art, and I kind of majored in studio art, so I did a lot of oil painting. And then once I got out of school, I kind of needed someone to jam with. So I'd always hang out with my friends who also painted or drew or whatever, and we'd go to like, I don't know, like a Denny's or something, and it'd be like late at night, and we're all just like, we're not eating, maybe like, we haven't eaten in hours, but nobody cares. And we're just sitting there all drawing on our separate drawings. And we may not be like talking very much, but just being around other artists was really like one of these like magical experiences where like you feel the energy of their drawing with you, and it just gets you all jazzed up to like really work on your piece too. And it kind of keeps you focused in that way, because a lot of times I'll lose steam if I'm just kind of like by myself. But I really love doing that, and so I kind of always want to be surrounded by creators, and DeviantArt kind of serves that purpose because they have this really strong community. And I always feel like I'm always kind of painting and getting to see other people's progress. And everybody I feel like that I've interacted on DeviantArt has been really fantastic about like being open about their process, or helping people with either by, you know, giving away their brushes or showing how they did the thing they did. And there's tons of tutorials. And I think it's easier now than it has ever been to become an artist just by following these inspirational people and by the tools and the things that they've been giving away, just to help other people come along too. So I remember when I was first getting into digital painting, because like I said, I was a traditional painter, and I picked up digital after school. Didn't know what I was doing. So I really looked to those kinds of people they were there to help us, and it was amazing to get their help. Because I think I would have been completely lost. So DeviantArt has been that constant, I think, as far as painting is concerned, especially. Okay, so here's 10 fun facts about me. Number 1, I really love watermelon, and I feel like the only reason I'm saying this right now is because it's nearly summer, and I always celebrate the beginning of a summer season with just like a giant watermelon, and I try to eat the whole thing. I'll try to eat the whole thing at once, and I feel like it's a punishment, but also this, I don't know, like a reward at the same time. But I really love watermelon, and yeah, I will like cut one in half and sit down with like the entire thing and then eat it like with a spoon. I'm really sad. I really love winter and fall, but I love summer for the watermelon. Number 2, I have an arcade in my house. So I live with my boyfriend and my best friend, and we decided that we didn't really need a family room, so we turned it into an arcade. And we ended up just buying like one arcade at a time. So I have like maybe 5 arcades and 5 pinball machines, and we just kind of filled up this room with it. And we run parties from our house, and it's always like the first time a person's come to our house and they see this arcade, they're like, what? And I was like, you know what, when I grew up, I said to myself, I want to be that fun house that has the arcade in it. So now we have an arcade. Number 3, I hate shoes. I feel like shoes are foot prisons. So much so that like I will wear my sandals deep into winter. I will wear them until it basically starts snowing. I hate shoes. So as soon as I walk through the front door, those things are off. I hate shoes and I hate socks. Number 4, I really, really love Disney. And I feel like when I was young, Disney was this huge inspiration thing for me. Like I love growing up with movies. I love going to Disneyland and Disney World. I really aspired by the animators, Glenn Keane, Chris Sanders, all the amazing people that work there. And even now, when I go to Disney World, which I'm going soon, I'm super excited. When I go there, I'm so inspired. Like I walk through the thing and I'm looking at everything. I'm so amazed by the engineering and the imagination that goes behind Disney. And I'm one of those people like that, like when I watch a Disney film, I'm singing along with every song. Number 5, I play violin, and I've played for a very long time. I actually went to my college on a music scholarship because I thought I would be a musician and not an artist, and that didn't work out. It's not that I didn't enjoy music. I still enjoy playing my violin, but art had a calling that was just stronger, and I still play violin, but just art has kind of taken over this bigger part of my life. But I have been playing violin for quite a while. So number 6, I am from Washington State. I grew up there. Like I said earlier, I kind of like moved around a lot through the country because my dad was in the military. But we ended up in Washington State for a much longer amount of time because he retired there. And when I lived there, I remember just waking up every morning and seeing Mount Rainier, which is this volcano that's like in the middle of the state, and you can see it from everywhere. And even as a kid, I was like, one day I am going to climb that mountain. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care if it's going to be like years and years and years from now. I will climb that mountain. And I did. I ended up climbing Mount Rainier in, I think it was 2008. And it was one of these experiences that I'm so happy that I got to do, because when I climbed it and I actually got to the top and checked that box off in my mind that I finally got to do this thing that I really love doing, because I really do love the outdoors, it felt like this huge accomplishment, and I still feel accomplished by it today because I know that it was some of these things that I worked really, really hard to do. I trained for it was actually more than half a year, and it was probably like 8 months. And when we went out there, I was well prepared, and it was scary, super scary, but I made it, and it's one of those things that I'm still very proud of. Number 7, I think we're on now. Number 7, I love nature. I really love the forest, and I love the beach. And when I was growing up in Washington, I feel like that was the thing that I did the most, was probably go out in nature. I kind of felt like I was always either on a camping trip, or I was out skiing, or I was out in the mountains, or I was out on the coast and I was enjoying the beach. And it's something I really miss about living in Washington State, because all of those outdoor places are really accessible. Whereas out here, I feel like I got to drive quite a while to get to like real nature. But I really love the outdoors and I love nature. And so a lot of that gets pulled into my artwork. I love to do backgrounds in my pieces just because I love building these nature scenes inside of my artwork, and they're all inspired by the places I've been or the photos I've taken of nature outside. But yeah, I'm always like at the ready with my camera to take pictures of nature whenever I find it. Number 8, werewolves are awesome. Werewolves are my favorite fantasy creature, and so much so that my mascot is a werewolf. And I'm highly offended by anyone who thinks a shapeshifter, like a shifting person that shifts into a wolf, is a werewolf. That is not what a werewolf is. Number 9, I run a Twitch and a YouTube show, and we record our episodes on Twitch. We put them out on YouTube. Our show is called Backseat Drawing. I've been doing it for almost a year now, and it's really awesome. We have a really great community built up around our show. And it's pretty much just like this. It's just this stream show where we have these really great conversations while I do artwork, or our guests do artwork, or our co-hosts do artwork, which is awesome. And number 10 in this list of 10 facts about me, I am a beekeeper. And it's one of those things that I feel like when I tell someone that I'm a beekeeper, they're like, well, what? Why? Because I don't like honey. So I don't keep them for the honey. Rather, I keep them because I find bees incredibly fascinating, and they're really fun to keep. They're super easy to keep. And I think that every time I go and inspect my hives, it's like one of the happiest times, because it's something about the smell of the wood and the wax and the floral smells, and just seeing the bees doing their thing it's really relaxing to me. So anytime I feel like I'm like stressing out over something, I go out there and see how busy they are and how little how little I'm worried about versus how much they're worried about. And it's really awesome because it's, I don't know, bees are just fascinating. So let's talk about some artwork stuff. What tips can I give an aspiring artist? Let's see. I think someone who's just starting, especially if you're just starting, like you're thinking, I really want to paint, or I really want to draw, and I really enjoy when I do it. I would say you've got to start. And I know everybody wants instant gratification. You want to draw something and you want it to instantly look amazing. But just like everything else, you have to realize that art is a skill that you learn, and that skill needs practice. So remember that we don't poke ourselves in the face with our fork, because we practice 3 times a day, and it's the same thing. So just remember, learn the foundations of art. Pick up a book and learn good anatomy, and try not to look for a style. Style is one of those things that always just comes. A lot of people get in this trap where they think, well, I want to draw like an anime style. But the problem is that, like, if you don't learn the fundamentals first, you're not really sure why things don't look right when you transition to a style. So don't try to adopt a style. It will eventually come. Remember to practice, 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 and learn your fundamentals, like the fundamentals of light and color, and shading, and a good anatomy, composition, and just practice every day. And it's one of those things that gets easier with time. And remember not to get frustrated, but to get motivated whenever you feel like you're getting into a point where you're like, I don't feel like I'm improving. Improvement happens slowly over long amounts of time, not in weeks, but months and years. So don't get frustrated, and just keep your motivation going. What are some tips? Excuse me. What are some tips on getting your name out there as an artist? I think if you're trying to get your name out there as an artist, you're now talking about like marketing. And a lot of people wish that they could just draw and they'll come. And that is true to some extent. But you've got to realize that there are lots and lots of artists, and there are lots of people who are doing kind of what you're doing. So you've got to think of how you can be unique in that. And either your drawing and your drawings are unique and they've got a great style, which they probably do. But then you have to think about, how do I put my name out there by that unique aspect of my artwork? So think about how you can put yourself out there, like by either using like DeviantArt groups or going to ThumbHub and sharing your artwork, and just really just kind of getting people to see your stuff, and then commenting on other people's artwork, and then like finding people who have like the same style as you and connecting with them, so that you can kind of like basically say, hey, I've got artwork too, you want to take a look at it. And really just kind of like, it's one of those things where you have to actively be a part of. You can't just sit back and wait for it to happen. You really got to think about how you can really strategize and put your artwork out there so that more eyes can see it. So, if you feel like maybe you're in a rut and not a lot of people have seen you, it might be time to like shift things around and actually go out there and like maybe change what you're drawing, like the content, or try something new and, really challenge yourself. But yeah, getting your name out there it goes one step past art. It goes into marketing, and that's always going to be kind of a subjective thing. Each person is going to have something that works for them. And I can't really tell you what the success steps are for that, other than just to do, like I said, just try to get your name out there and touch base with people who really like your artwork, and people who have something that, maybe a similar style as yours. What's the hardest part about being an artist? What's the hardest part about being an artist? I think that the hardest part about being an artist may be probably working with clients who don't understand quite what goes into the process. And so I think that what happens is some people don't realize the time or the level of effort, or maybe even just the way art works or how a commission is supposed to go. Like if I get hired for something and the person is giving me too much difficulty, like in timing or whatever, because I think art falls into one of those things where a lot of people think that it's easier than it is, or that it takes less time than it does, or that it doesn't need or doesn't require the same cost that other professions do. They don't see it as the same. They see it as creative, but they don't see maybe the technical aspects of it that they also should. I mean, being an artist and being hired as an artist means that you are a professional artist, just the same as I wouldn't underestimate what goes into fixing my car when I take it to the shop, or when a chef prepares my meal. I'm not going to go in there and try to get in their business. But it feels like a lot of clients don't understand that they should probably trust the artist. And if they say, well, it's going to take this amount of time or cost this amount of money, they shouldn't second guess that. I think that's probably one of the frustrating parts of being an artist, is that they think, well, it's fun for you. Why don't you just do it? So I see a lot of situations where artists are asked to work for exposure, and that's not how that works. Not at all. So I feel like the better thing to do for people is to understand, the artist is going to know what they're doing. They've been in the profession. Don't second guess them. Let's see. What's the best compliment you've received as an artist? Let's see. I think one of the best compliments I've received as an artist actually happened somewhat recently while I was at a convention. I was sitting next to another artist in the convention hall, and at the end of the convention, they came by at my table and told me how at one point they were on DeviantArt and they were feeling like they were in this extreme art block and they just didn't want to keep going, and they were like, well, maybe art's not for me. And I had come to their gallery and left a comment that said something like, I love this. If you ever make these, it was a plush. If you ever make this plush for sale, I want to buy it. Just let me know how much and when. I didn't know this at the time, but this had apparently inspired them to keep going. And they didn't give up. Like, apparently what I said was like, I can do this. I can do it. Because look at this great comment I got. And I feel like I've got the motivation I need. And she kept going. And her artwork is fantastic. And she's now like at conventions. And her artwork is amazing. And she said that just because of that one comment, it caused this ripple effect where she had this positive reaction to this comment, and then now is like full-time artist. Like, that's her job, is she's like a freelance artist, and she's doing this, and she's super happy, and she came by and she wanted to tell me this story. And I got tears in my eyes because I didn't know at the time that this did it, but like hearing it made me wonder how many times that has actually happened. Like, I got the opportunity just because I was sitting next to her to hear this story. How many other times, not just me, any other person that has left a comment like this has rescued someone and really motivated them to keep going. And I think that's a really great experience that really, like, it was probably the greatest experience I've had as an artist, both on just like the greatest DeviantArt experience, of course, but then also the greatest experience I've had as an artist, which is so amazing. How do you overcome artist block? So how do I overcome an artist block? I think we all get trapped, like, in art blocks, I think. It's one of those really hard things to avoid. Sometimes they come because you get burnt out. Sometimes they just come because they just come. Like, you can't think of the things to draw, or you just don't know what to do anymore. I think the way that I get around them is to not be in one drawing for a very long time. So what I do is I'll like cycle maybe 4 drawings. Like, I'm in one, if I get a little burnt out in it, I go to the next one. I'll come fresh. And then by the time I'm back into that original one where I got a little bit of a block, it's like, oh, right, this piece, I can finish this up. So you have like newfound motivation to kind of go back at it. And I think that's really the only thing that's ever helped me. I know some people will just kind of like, no, I just need a break. You know, I'll like 2 weeks, I'll come back to it. But for me, I just feel like if I can keep cycling more than one drawing, there's that. And then there's also like, if I'm really hitting an art block, I'll just take on a load of commissions and then I'm forced to draw. And then I want nothing more to come back to my own personal pieces after commissions. I love doing commissions, but I really, really rather just draw what I want to draw. So that's always one of those like great motivators, because it's like, well, you can do all these commissions or you can do your own thing and stop complaining about it. But that always kind of brings me back into like, okay, all right, I'm gonna keep going now. Is being an artist a full-time career for you? So I'm a full-time artist. The stuff that you see in my gallery on DeviantArt, it's actually the stuff that I'm doing at home, and I'm kind of doing that for fun. I actually work as a concept illustrator for Research Lab, and no, I'm not going to say that. All right, starting over. So the stuff that you see in my gallery is the stuff that I'm doing at home and on my free time, and it's the stuff that I enjoy doing. It's like whatever fan art I'm doing or my original pieces, which is really great. But I'm actually a full-time artist also. I'm a conceptual illustrator, so I do a lot of like concept illustrations, and they're always like really, really fast, and I have to kind of like get ideas down quickly, and usually live in front of people I have to draw in these like storyboard ways, which is like really great, because when you finally nail an idea for someone and they get all excited because they saw it come to life like in front of their eyes, it's always this really like rewarding experience. But it all can also be like, okay, where are we going with this? When are you going to be satisfied? And you learn to draw really, really fast. You draw ideas down quick, in like, it's kind of, sometimes it's really sketchy, but I do a lot of like big environments. A lot of the concepts that I do are kind of like, they're kind of intangible a little bit. So a lot of the things I do are kind of like, I guess kind of like almost like theoretical, almost like a concept illustrator, but basically like showing how something is going to work and then having a landscape behind it, basically. So it's really fun work. It's just that it's all like, I don't know, like really fast paced. So when I get home, I'm like, I'm ready to just like take my own pace and slow down and do what I want. And I get higher levels of detail in the pieces that I do at home, which is great. What's your favorite thing to create and why? So I think one of my favorite things to create when I'm painting are probably like environment pieces. If you look through my gallery, you'll notice that a lot of the drawings that I have, they have these big elaborate backgrounds in them. And it's because I feel like the thing that I really enjoy doing in my paintings is creating these scenes where you can imagine all sorts of stuff is happening. So I like to get into the background and do lots of details. And I've been kind of like channeling that Bob Ross feel, where he kind of like loses himself in these little nooks and crannies of his paintings. And that's basically what I do. I feel like when I build up my environments, I can imagine all sorts of things. Like if there's a cave, there's a dragon in that cave. Or if there's like a tree, at the top of that tree is an owl. You know, so I can build these stories into my drawings, and I think that's one of the fantastic things about art, is that there are a lot of the personalization that you have in it, maybe stories that you never tell. Like you know that they're happening only because you're the artist and you've built the stories into your piece. And if somebody asks, you can be like, well, I imagine that this is happening there and all that other stuff. But it's one of my favorite parts of painting, is to build these little worlds into my drawings. What's my least favorite thing to create? I think the least favorite thing that I like that I create is probably things that I just don't feel comfortable drawing, only because that's just not my forte. So that's things like robots and like big elaborate city scenes. I think like what I enjoy drawing more is probably like organic stuff, like animals and nature scenes, those kinds of things. So anything where it's like a car or a giant robot, I'm like, no, I can't. The straight lines and parallel, and oh my gosh, their perspective, and for me, I know lots of artists that enjoy drawing that, and kudos to them, but I cannot do it. All right, this is the Pride Art focus session. What is the meaning behind the art you created for the Pride campaign? What was your inspiration? Oh, we kind of talked about that. Okay, so I think in drawing this particular piece, I think the meaning behind my drawing is basically the idea of spirit. And because purple represents spirit in the Pride flag, so I wanted to make sure that like I kind of conveyed that same idea of spirit in my piece without being like too literal. So I kind of wanted to show it metaphorically, and I thought that the best way to do it for me anyway is to kind of have like the two lions basically with their manes kind of woven together, so that they have this kind of idea that they're together, and their love kind of brings them as to like one spirit basically between them. And I have each lion kind of looking in their own directions because I wanted this idea that they're kind of guarding the other in their own kind of time of day. So like this one's looking that way, and it's like guarding the other one in the night that's looking that way in the nighttime. So when I created my piece, I was thinking about how that spirit to me kind of means that it's intangible, of course, because you can't really see spirit, but you can feel it. And when you connect with someone and you truly love them, you feel that connection, even if you don't see it, right? So I wanted to make it seem like that the lions care so much for each other, that they guard each other, that they guard the love they have for them, that they guard themselves, they guard the other person. Does the art you created for Pride campaign have any relation to yourself or anyone you know? So when I created this piece, I was thinking about my boyfriend, and when I created this piece, I was actually thinking about my boyfriend. He has been like one of those steady, he's like a rock in my relationship, and I cannot imagine not being with him. I have a tendency to float around like a balloon, and he's always holding me down in this way that's like, I'm going to support you, but I'm going to make sure you don't float away. I feel like I could lose myself and not get out of a paper bag, so I need that, and we're so different from each other. He's always there to support me no matter what I'm doing or the crazy endeavors that I'm getting in, and he always helps me get through hard times. And so in that way, I feel like we're kind of like this in that I represent one whole aspect of personality, and he represents this other whole aspect of personality, and we both look out for each other, and we both bring something different to our relationships. And so in that way, we're very different, but we get along so well because of those differences. How do you think your identity comes through in your art? So I feel like in my artwork, my identity is pretty much like I said, I build a lot of myself into my pieces. I paint with really bright colors because I'm one of these people that has kind of like a big personality. And I feel like I always pick the brightest, most saturated colors because I'm like, no, I want it to stick out that much. So a lot of my pieces have like these really extreme palettes. And I also really love to have just really like woven pieces together. A lot of my pieces, like especially if it has like long feathers or hair or something, I'll like weave them together and like braid them around because I really love this idea of things being like feel like they're one out of multiple components. So in this piece, I did the same thing that I would normally do, like in a piece that, you know, I feel is more personal to me, is that I kind of inject myself into that piece and kind of just hit those areas where I feel like, one, it has like really bright colors, and then two, at least when I created it, when I'm drafting it, I'm not really thinking so much about, okay, is this compositionally correct or whatever else. I just kind of threw it down in this like, I'm doing what I feel is right. And it's kind of like, you can't really capture that expression like when you're like really trying to like figure out the perfect thing. In this particular piece, I just kind of like, all right, I'm going to just draw from the heart. And this is kind of what came out. And at the end, I was like, yeah, really, that's it. That's what I want to do. And that's, to me, like, that's the way that you get that. How do you get more you about that piece, right? That's like me right on the drawing. So it was really great. Have has love ever influenced your art? If so, how? So love has definitely influenced my artwork. I feel like I can't ever feel satisfied with my drawings until like I get my boyfriend to come and take a look at it, or I get my friend to come and take a look at it. I trust them so much, and it's because I love them. And I know because they love me, like when they look at my pieces, they feel like, okay, this is Eric. And it's always hard with artists, right? Like when you're telling them, like if I need to change something, like, okay, well, I don't want to hurt you, but like maybe change this around. And it's because I trust them so much that I know that they never say any of those things. They want to help me, and they know I love them. So I'm like, okay, well, let me try a new thing, and let me try to change this up. So every piece that you see, I've had the people that I trust the most take a look at it before I upload it and I'm finished. Like, because I always have this tendency to be like, okay, at the end, what do I need to do? Is there anything left that I need to do? I need my boyfriend to take a look at it. So he'll come in with fresh eyes and he'll take a look at it. He always makes me feel really good about finishing a piece, because he always comes in and he's like, that looks amazing. And he always makes me feel like I finished it, but then it doesn't feel finished until he takes a look at it and he says, that looks amazing. And I get excited about it. Okay, so this is the LGBTQ plus related stuff. What is it like being LGBTQ plus in your country? I think it's great, actually. I find that, like, it's super supportive. We have, like, more than any other time now. I feel like we have more rights, basically. I mean, I can marry my boyfriend now. And, you know, we have protections in place to help us. And it's just been this upward movement. And I'm really proud that we've gotten to where we are now. So I remember when I was coming out, we didn't have all this. And I was so afraid. And I feel like now the support is there. And I know where I can go to get it. And I know who I need to talk to when I'm having a problem as far as being LGBTQ plus. What is the LGBTQ plus like scene in your town? Oh, okay. So I'd say that like the LGBTQ plus scene in my city, at least, is loud and party hard. So I remember when I came out here, I came out when I moved out here, actually, and immediately I was like, all right, I'm going to go see what it's all about. And I went out and, oh my gosh, I mean, I really like to party with people, but people here can party harder than I can party. And it's really great because it's fantastic. The community is really strong here, and it's really fun to hang out with people. But I think at this point, like, I'm partied out. So why is pride important for you personally? So pride's important to me because, you know, so I remember before I came out, it was hard because people just make an assumption that you're straight. And, you know, it feels like, okay, well, now I have shame because I'm not. But they didn't know that. And they're not, in my life, people didn't try to shame me into being straight. It's just they didn't know. So how would they know to support me if I've never told them? You know, and if I can't be proud of myself, then, you know, then it's never going to be a situation where they would know. So I think pride's really important because it helps you get out there so that you can have the people around you know who you are and know what you need from them. You know, it's one of those things that when I finally came out, I didn't realize the support that I was going to get. I was so afraid, and I shouldn't have been. I know that now, but I didn't then. And I wish I could go back and be like, Eric, no one's going to come after you. You're fine. But it's because of the fact that when I came out, there wasn't quite as much pride as there is now. And I was so worried that, like, I would just get, I don't know, fired, or my family would just not want to talk to me anymore. My friends wouldn't, like, be around anymore, or whatever. it didn't turn out that way. I made it more than it was because I didn't have pride. So pride is really important, because when you're proud of yourself, then you can be a positive person, and other people are going to see what you need, and then they're going to support you. What challenges have you faced? What challenges have you faced as someone who is LGBTQ plus? Well, I think one of the challenges I faced as a person who's gay is I'm always still now I'm always a little afraid how people are going to take it, especially depending on where I am. And I mean, I shouldn't feel that way, but it's always in my mind that someone might attack me just for who I am. I remember when I met my boyfriend for the first time, we went on a date, and it was one of these places really, really rowdy. And after the date, we both wanted to hug or at least kiss each other, but we were both equally uncomfortable with the people we were around. We didn't know them, but they just seemed really rowdy. So instead of a hug or a kiss, we shook hands. And we joke now that we'll never forget that first handshake. But I mean, that's one of the challenges I face. I think that, like, I'm never quite sure whether or not someone's, like, if they have a problem with us being together or expressing our love for each other, you know, in a public place. And I remember at one point walking, I can't remember where I was, but I remember we were walking down the street, and we weren't holding hands or anything. We were just walking down the street. Maybe we were closer together than other people that are not in a couple. But I remember this guy called out to us, and he said, "Are you guys gay?" And we were both like petrified, because I was like, oh no. And it turned out that all he just wanted to know if we were gay. And so we said, you know, yeah, we are. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. Well, anyway, I just wanted to know if you, like, we're from the area, you know, we're giving out these pamphlets for this this concert that's nearby. And so, I mean, it turned out to be nothing. But it was just weird, because it's not, again, I mean, we have so much to be proud of as far as gay rights go, but wow, that still scared me. What advice would you give someone who's struggling with accepting themselves? So I think if I were to give any advice to someone who's struggling to really accept themselves, just remember, like me, I was afraid to come out because I didn't know what people were going to do around me, and it turned out to be nothing. And you have to have that pride. You know, people need to know they need to support you. You know, if not, then they're not gonna know. So remember to love yourself. Love yourself first, and love others. It's really easy to forget that sometimes people just need patience. And so for those people who are around people who you think may not understand, give them love back. You know, when you love yourself, you can love others too. And you'll quickly come to see that the people who love you will support you. And remember to forgive yourself and to forgive others. And just be proud of who you are. And remember that, you know, no matter what, you should be happy with who you are. You're not defined by what you are. You're always defined by who you are. So be the best who you are you can be, and think less about what you are and who you are. And here's the personal block. When did you come out? So I came out kind of late in my life. I remember thinking something was different, and I wasn't sure what that was. And it's not like I had a lot of gay friends growing up, but I never once questioned my own sexual orientation. I think it came out really slow. I never at one point was like, by the way, guys, I'm gay. It kind of came out in this super gradual, slow way where everybody's like, all right, Eric, you have a boyfriend now? Like, yeah. And like, they're like, okay, cool. So are you gay? I'm like, yeah, I am. Like, so it wasn't even one of those situations where I was like, by the way, guys, it was more of a, oh yeah, I have a boyfriend because I'm gay. Like, and it was really late in life, and I remember coming out to my parents, and they're like, okay, well, so you don't like girls, right? I was like, well, yeah, that's kind of how it works. And they're like, okay, all right, cool. And I remember them like just it just not being a big deal. And like I thought I wrapped up all this trouble into it, so it prevented me from really coming out like actually coming out. And so I came out in this really slow way, and I'm one of those people, like, if I have to like take a band-aid off, I'm like, oh god, I'm taking it off super slow. I could have just like ripped it off of there and it would have been just fine, but it made it worse by like pulling it up really slow. So yeah, I think like don't everybody's gonna do it their own way, but there's really no reason at this, well, in my life there was no reason for me to be worried about it. Everybody was super supportive, and my friends and family were like, okay, we at this point we kind of saw it coming. And it really didn't change anything about me, because I'm still the same Eric. I'm still the same person I've always been. I'm the same guy that does lots of crazy stuff, and loves Disney, and I love having arcade house. Never changed who I was. It's just I just happened to like men, and that was it. That was all that all that was, and I made a mountain out of a molehill. And then, do you have any experiences about coming out that you like to share? I found that like when I came out, I was really surprised at just how supportive people were. I mean, it was like this immediate like, yes, go you! And I can only like feel like it was kind of like when you're running in a half marathon or a marathon or a foot race or whatever. And at the end of the race, people are just like cheering you on, getting super crazy about it. You feel like it's not like you're not even, for me at least, I don't run like seriously or anything. I just run for fun. But everybody's cheering you on. You feel like superstar. You feel like athlete, and you're just running really fast trying to cross that finish line. And you feel super accomplished, and that's what it was like when I came out. It was like, yeah, okay, cool, yeah, go you. And I just holding up signs with my name on it. You can cross the finish line, and that kind of thing. And it was really fantastic, because I wasn't expecting that. I just thought it was just going to be like either this negative experience where people were like, pfft, or just nothing at all. Like they're like, okay, Eric, come on. But it wasn't. I had a lot of people who were just like, okay, cool, like nice. That makes a lot of sense. That's cool, and of course you get those people who are like, let me hook you up with this guy. But it was great. I think that if I had anything that I could change, it would be to come out earlier. But again, I still trying to discover who I was. And everybody comes out a different way. Like, either you're going to pull that Band-Aid off really slow or pull it off really fast. And I was always really unconfident about, like, who I was in love with, even though I knew who it was in my head at the time. But everybody's journey is different. And so mine was a little slower than most. And I wish I could have been stronger, but then I wouldn't have been the same person. So I never have any regrets. It's just like, oh, well, why were you like that? There's no judging there. It's just more like oh, come on, Eric, you could have been out there and more proud like at an earlier time. But anyway, thank you so much for watching my stream. It was really fun. I feel like I just kind of talked the whole time and I didn't get too much done, but I love that I got to paint this piece for you guys. And please remember to love yourself and to love others and to be proud of who you are. And always always remember that if you're in a place where you think you're stuck or things aren't going to get better, they always do. They always do. So just keep drawing, keep appreciating artwork, and love yourself. All right. Thanks. Bye.